Welcome back, everybody, to Let's Play. What the fuck are you doing outside of my door? Welcome back to Let's Play Metroid Prime for the Nintendo GameCube. It's Prime time! Last time we grabbed the first two upgrades in the game, out of many more upgrades to come. And today we're going through the rest of Chozo Ruins to see what we can find and discover along the way. And yeah, let me just go ahead and note right now that because this is a console-based 3D-esque first-person shooter game, this game is also substantially much longer than the 2D games that have come before and after it. So, yeah, this is going to be a pretty long adventure. Let me just go ahead and say that right here and now. In fact, I would definitely expect no less than at least 30 parts for this playthrough. It's a pretty beefy game for its kind of subgenre as it is. It usually takes about 10 hours for me to finish on average. So, yeah, it's a pretty good, decently long, chunky Let's Play. So, hope you grabbed your popcorn. So, now that we have our upgrades on hand, we're going to go ahead and come over here. And man, these things are really fucking annoying. They just like to get in my way and be absolutely obnoxious. So they can go ahead and fuck off for that very reason alone. Oh man, I should have stayed in Morph Ball. Alright. So this room's a bit darker than most other places. That's another thing I like about Metroid Prime 2 as far as its atmosphere is concerned. Like, I don't usually see enough people, like, bring enough mention to this, but I really loved the use of lighting in Metroid Prime. I find it's really prominent in the first game especially. And, like, that whole abandoned vibe of Talon 4 I had just mentioned, and just the fact that the only thing lighting this room up is the acid right over there in the distance and these little lightning bug looking things. It really does give you the idea that this place was once there probably used to be electricity running through the place, you know? You really get a good idea of just like how significant this kind of area was back then. So yeah, apparently these guys already knew about Samus. These aren't the same Chozo, however, that were a part of Zeba's, by the way. There happens to be a lot of different branches of Chozo. And these guys, I guess because they're like telepathic or some shit, I wouldn't tell, I couldn't tell you. Like, apparently they knew about, like, Samus, and they're telling us right here that there is a thing called the Great Poison that hit the planet eons ago, and it brought destruction upon the wildlife and life as they knew it, and it was really shitty. And it's, I guess, a partial, contributor of the fact of why you see things like acid roaming around causing all sorts of trouble and poisoning the environment. But apparently they already knew somebody was coming, and I think they probably hinged their hopes on that a little too much because they're already gone. Or are they? But yeah, going back to the lighting, it really does give you the idea that yeah, there was definitely some purpose in the room because like who else would use this room for any other purpose, you know? Also, can I reach that? Can I reach that at all? I don't even know if I can. Barely. I don't even think I was meant to jump through that way. Whatever. Oh, scan these things. These are obnoxious. Because not only are there bosses and potential database entries you can potentially miss out on permanently, there's also select enemies where they have very precarious positions of where they appear and relativity to the world of which they reside in that can make them very obnoxious to scan and they never show up ever again. I'm not referring to these enemies specifically, but I'm referring to a similar incarnation of these that we'll be running into later down the road that makes them very obnoxious to scan. Anybody who's played Metroid Prime probably knows what I'm talking about. Uh, but man, the deeper we go, the more infested we see this area is when it's filled to the brim with all sorts of acid and just how much of an effect it's had on the wildlife. You can just see here that not only has it infected like the water that they've probably drank from for all I know, but you can see this tree, and this tree just this tree looks like it definitely had a lot more wildlife going on with it. Like you can see that this tree has probably been around for like a millennia. I'm gonna go ahead and scan that. But like also like you see the poison in it, and it's like this kind of doesn't seem right, you know? Like you see the rest of the tree, and it's like yeah, it feels like it's a part of the environment, and you see the poison that's seeping up through it, and it's like it just doesn't feel right, you know? Like there's just an obligation that's within you that even though the space of like species that had lived here long ago are long gone, like you just can't help but feel kind of shitty for what's happened, and you want to do something about it and fix the present situation, not only because we're trying to move forward within the plot, but also just to, like, help out where we can, even though we're like 20 or so years late. So we're gonna go ahead and check out this room right here and see if we can nab some more stuff. Oh, almost got struck by that for an instant. And right there is a, yep, I thought so. Let's go ahead and grab ourselves a missile expansion. Booyah! And just for those in the know, you can carry up to 250 missiles, so yeah, there's a lot of collecting to be done. I'm just hoping I can get most of it all done within a single track, because sometimes I don't. The expansions in this game aren't easy to get at all. But it is pretty essential to do in this game because like most other Metroid games, it actually affects the ending in some way. But unlike most other Metroid games, it's a little bit more than just showing Samus off without her suit. It's a little bit more involved with it than that, and it's going to be something that I'm going to be aiming to get by the end of this playthrough. Hopefully, maybe, possibly, who knows. I'd like to. I'd really hope I can get all of them. I better hope those 2 subsequent playthroughs have paid off. And oh boy, I'm glad I remember that. I swear to God, every time I come to this room, I always forget that one for some reason, and I guess it's probably because of the lighting that makes it more difficult to see compared to the rest of them. But yeah, this room here, there are 4 different symbols we need to go off and find, and upon scanning them, we gain access to another part of the area, and we need to go ahead and scan all 4 of them so we can make due progress. Scanny, scanny. And oh boy, what's that weird looking thing? Why is it spinning? Let's see here. Got some new Chozo lore. What's up? Okay, so it seems like at some point that they left, but then they came back to see if they could try to do something about that. And just so you guys know, I'm going to be doing something that most other Let's Players tend to outright ignore. Whereas in the bonus video I plan to do for Metroid Prime, I actually want to do something where I actually go through and look through every logbook entry in the game just as its own separate video, because I really do think it's worth a read, especially for those wanting to try out Metroid Prime, or just haven't been able to scan everything and just want a good understanding of the game without having to do it themselves, because man, getting all of the logbook entries is such a pain in the fucking ass. But like, it's ambitious, I know, and it's really fucking difficult. or not so much difficult, but just really fucking time consuming. But god damn it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna fucking do it. I know it's crazy, but somebody's gotta have it done. And oh boy, more artificial barriers. I actually remember when I first played Metroid Prime, when I rented it back then, I actually skipped the charge shot for the longest time. Like, I didn't even know where the fuck it was. So apparently, I guess you don't need the charge shot to beat the game. But like, well actually you kind of do, but not until like, at least about a third of the way through. But anyway, yeah, I didn't have the charge shot for the longest time, and I remember getting the wave beam at some point. I was like, why haven't I gotten the charge shot yet? Like, let's keep this in mind, okay? I fought the Shiga, I fought Flagra, I fought all of these bosses, not using the charge shot, and I'm just trying to wrap my head around how little 9-year-old me could have possibly have done this back then. Like, I still have no clue to this day how I managed to get through a big chunk of the game without the charge shot. That just... It was one of these things that you just kind of look back and you were like, how did I do this at one point? I remember talking to somebody who he had mentioned that he played Mario 1 as his very first video game, and he beat it at the age of 4, and even he's like, I have no fucking clue how I did this, because now I'm not as good at games as I used to be anymore, and that's precisely how I feel, because the older you get, your reaction time starts to slip away, and I'm definitely getting to the point where I'm starting to feel that a little bit. But like, yeah, it just goes to show that like, if you don't have the right focus or like the right commitment to something, it definitely feels like something that should be muscle memory can definitely slip away from you given time. And yeah, we're pretty low on missiles. I feel like I should be having more. I wondered if this is going to be another case of Metroid Fusion-itis. Yeah, that's a term I appropriately dubbed. Do not steal. Where I feel like I'm missing something, and then I later figure out that I actually am missing something that I should have grabbed earlier. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. It's been a good, like, almost year since I've last been through Metroid Prime, despite all the preparation work I've done into getting ready for this Let's Play. Who's this cute little fella over here? A stone toad. Huh. Have to keep that in mind for later. Alright, got ourselves another mini-boss. I don't know what it is with the mini-games, but the early games fascination with, like, throwing just countless mini-bosses after another at you, but, like, here we are, the incinerator drone, programmed for high-temperature waste disposal. So basically, we're fighting a trash machine. What a skill for a boss. Like, can you imagine looking at this like in a magazine, or just watching a trailer for this and just seeing all the crazy lighting and shit that's going on, and like at the end of the day you just realize that, oh wait, all of this, all of the tension and atmosphere that this creature is bringing is out of a fucking trash drone, like a trash incinerator. What the fuck? And yeah, this is another good boss that makes good use out of our strafing as well. I want to shoot it in the red eye portion of the bot here. Not too hard of a boss. Again, I probably would have picked this over the Hive Totem as a first boss, but oh well. I didn't make the game, Retro Studios did. Oh god, I'm being reckless. Way too reckless, even. And yeah, these are a different variant of War Wasps compared to the other ones. So make sure you scan these as well. What is it with bosses and their specific War Wasps that come with it? What the fuck? Just gotta play the waiting game. What? Oh. Get out of the way, please. And that was easy. I sure ran into a lot of shit during that fight, but, like, it's easy. Despite the contrary of what I'm saying. Man, that didn't give us many energy pickups at all. I'll feel ripped off. Fuck you too, Incinerator Drone. So now we have the Morph Ball Bombs, and naturally speaking, if you played a Metroid game in your life, you'll know that this opens up a lot of areas. Especially for expansions, which we're gonna go ahead and start doing right here and now. So, yee! Because we'll definitely need more missiles, because, yeah, now that we have all the tools we need, we have pretty much what's necessary to fight the main area's boss. Because much like Super Metroid, most of the areas in this game have their own exclusive, like, big, major region boss, as I'd like to call it. And he's going to be up next, but first we're going to do some puzzle solving and quite potentially get some expansions out of it, hopefully. So, is that where we came out of? No, it isn't. What? Why didn't you? What the fuck? What are you doing? Why didn't my bombs come out? Alright, so let's be sure to scan this. Yeah, these things are everywhere, by the way. So, we're gonna go ahead and start this up, and we'll start a line of events triggering a pretty decent time puzzle. So basically what we want to do is that with this activated, we want to head over to whatever it opened up next in the area and activate that machine so we can activate whatever's next. And we just keep doing it until we get down to the end goal here. So, go away. Fucking street bats. And it's got a little chime thing going on in the background too to indicate like the timer too, so make sure you keep a good ear out on that one. Get it? Ear. I'm such a comedian. But yeah, be sure to listen out for that just to get a good idea of where you're at time limit wise, because this game wasn't really courteous enough to just give us a straight up numbered time limit, apparently. It kind of reminds me of Zelda Ocarina of Time, where you had the puzzles and it made that really obnoxious... You know what I'm talking about, the... I mean, a very poor imitation, I know, but, like, you get the idea. That wasn't too hard. Of course, we're in the early game, so I wouldn't be surprised, so... Alright, let's see what this opened up to us. Energy spec detected. So what's really nice about Metroid Prime is that unlike most other games in the series, well, the ones that came before it anyway, it has objectives kind of like Metroid Fusion, but it's kind of given to you indirectly without really going to a navigational room or a specific point in the map to get an idea of where you need to go. And it's going to give you, like, a pointer for where you need to go next. And it's, again, it's like Metroid Fusion, in a sense. Like, it tells you where you need to go, but it's not going to tell you how to get there. So it's still very much Metroid at the end of the day. If anything, Metroid Prime is probably one of the most Metroid-esque titles in the series, if that makes any sense. So, what the hell am I saying? Yeah, for our efforts there, we got an energy tank, and we're definitely going to need this energy tank for the boss coming up. Go away, good sirs. So one really interesting thing about doors that most people wouldn't know about coming into the game is that sometimes when you shoot them, they actually take an extended period of time to open up before, you know, opening. Totally clever. I know. Yeah, so basically, the reason that happens, oh hi, is that it's actually the game's clever way of masking loading screens behind a door. So what this means exactly is that for each room you're in that's barricaded off from doors, that's its own like loaded area. But as you shoot the door, when it's sitting still like that for an extended period of time, it's actually trying to load up the area, like what it's doing right now. It's trying to load up the area behind it because it's not actually on the map until you open the door and have it load up. And I think that's really clever, actually. It keeps the pace going without having it being broken up by monotonous like loading screens, like, you know, most other games back then on the 5th gen were plagued with, especially on the PS1. And even nowadays, too. Now that I think about it. Man, when Metroid Prime is ahead of the curve on loading screens more than most other games are today, you know there's something wrong. Like, there's seriously something wrong. And it's not just something that applies to Metroid Prime 1, but it applies to every other Metroid Prime game that comes after it, too. And, you know, I don't blame them. Why wouldn't they do it? It's pretty goddamn clever. Alright, so where we're heading right now is that we're going to go back to the room where we got the missiles from. If I can find a way up there. Jesus Christ. I can't really see all too well in this lighting, so it's hard for me to really see, like, past this lighting where platforms are. You know what? I might actually turn the brightness up a little bit. There we go. See if that helps any. Did that save? Oh, wait. Okay, so we want to turn the brightness all the way up to 100. There we go. And yeah, that's a little bit better. Yeah, I can actually see the platform here now. And yeah, admittedly, since I suffer from stigmatism and have to use contacts and glasses for daily wear, it actually kind of hurts. It actually helps my eyes substantially doing things like this. It was really shitty back then, though, when you had TVs that were much older with, like, less substantial lighting or lighting effects, or had them put into play, rather, because, like, I remember playing games on the GameCube that were so dark, especially Sonic Adventure 2, when I rented it back then, that sometimes it was just so dark, I couldn't tell what the fuck was going on. And it just really put a serious strain on my eyes. Maybe Sonic Adventure 2 is the reason why I wear glasses, who the fuck knows. I wouldn't be surprised, though. That game has several performance issues that would totally not be okay in today's expectation for performance in gaming, so. Alright, so yeah, let's head right here. Just gonna ignore those for right now. And I do believe... Okay, actually, wait a second. I should have blown that up earlier. That's the missile I was missing. Wow. I'm a fucking retard. Here we are. Yeah, that was what I should have grabbed first out of all the missile expansions we had, but I goofed like a fucking moron and decided not to grab it for some reason. Because I'm an idiot. Oh boy. Wowie golly. Golly geez. Wowzers. Golly gee willikers. Main source of toxins and ruins detected. Okay, game. Well, tell me where it's at. It's a pretty big, ominous looking chamber. be sure to check that out in the next video. Right now we're we're grabbing expansions. Just gonna take a moment to appreciate the architecture of this building here, and just like, I didn't pay enough attention earlier, but you can definitely see the impact that poison has had, and not only just like making the room all dirty and shit, but like you can see the vines and excess vines coming out of the walls, just kind of giving you like an indication of like the kind of damage it has done to an otherwise pretty tame looking room overall. They probably used this room for combat purposes, now that I think about it. Because, like, what else would that machine be for? It's so interesting that you can just sit down, take a look at the environment, and just be able to tell a story just out of the environment alone. I love stuff like that. It's one of the main reasons I'm a big Metroid fan, you know? I love being able to just sit down, stop doing what I'm doing gameplay-wise, and just kind of appreciate the game world for what it is. Like, even though this game is, like, 17 goddamn years old now, like, what the fuck? I can't believe this game is almost 20. Wow. I never thought I'd actually witness that, but here we are. But, yeah, it's so crazy how, despite, like, you know, how much the textures and shit and all have aged, like, you can still take it all in and just be like, yeah, there's enough attention to detail and creativity here that you can definitely be able to tell, like, what happened here and just get a good message out of everything that's happening around you. So even they saw just how small they were compared to the rest of the universe. Once our city here is complete, we will peer inward and discover the truth. I swear, it's gotta be the Chozo's ambition that always gets them into shitty situations, apparently. Like, why else are they, like, always not present when we come by their planets? You know? That quest for knowledge really does have consequences the more you think about it. Man, I just really went meta there, huh? So right here, I'm doing what's called double bomb jumps. These bomb jumps don't quite work the same way they do in games like Super Metroid, Zero Mission, or Samus Returns, where if you time the bomb detonations carefully, you can actually do infinite bomb jumps and sequence break past shit. The bombs here actually come out in limited capacity. You can see here on the top right here that you can only have a number of bombs here at a given time on screen before they detonate and refresh. And I can kind of see why they did that, honestly, because like if you try to sequence break Metroid Prime, it'd probably end up being a much more broken game than something like Super Metroid would. And you'd probably break a lot of story sequences out of order and mess up the whole game while you're at it. But, yeah. You can't do infinite bomb jumps. It's a lot like how it was in Metroid Fusion, where there were bomb jumps, yeah, but you couldn't really do multiple bomb jumps, if that makes any sense. Alright, so one more area I'm going to go ahead and check out right here and now is over here, over here, over here. I'm going to go ahead and load up on some missiles. You can never be too prepared when it comes to missiles, because I'm certainly going to need a lot of these for the boss fight, especially on hard mode. Break that apart. Good, good. And then, there was one more expansion over there by where we got the charge shot at that we could break open with the more bombs in hand, but can't say I'm quite comfortable with doing that. Well, actually, you know what? I might, actually. But might not actually be in this video, though. So, it looks like we might be ending up... Where am I at as far as time is... Oh, God. 30 minutes. Yeah, this is a little too long for a video. Oh, boy. This is why I cut my videos into segments. So, I'll meet you guys back at the save station. But not without getting one more expansion before finishing off the video first. Okay, so maybe I lied. So, I'm gonna come back through here. And let's go ahead and grab this missile expansion that's hovering way up here. There's another missile. Okay, here it is. Yeah, I thought so. Cool. Missile expansion acquired. And now we have a good, healthy number of missiles. More than I did when I first played Metroid Prime. That's kind of sad, actually, now that I think about that. So, yeah, as you can already tell, there seems to be a bit more than what meets the eye currently, but we're not going to be able to get that until we have more upgrades in our arsenal, so we'll come back here later. Onwards to the space station. Or save station. What the fuck am I saying? And that's going to be it for part 3 of Metroid Prime 1. Stay tuned as we go and fight the main area's boss. And we'll see you guys then. I'm pretty pooped, so that's going to be it for me as far as recording sessions go for today. Whey!